Harlequins cruised through their Investec Champions Cup round 3 clash in emphatic fashion on Sunday afternoon, dismantling an understrength Stormers side 61-10 at a cold but vibrant Twickenham Stoop in a match that was effectively decided long before the final whistle. Quins delivered a ruthless, high-tempo performance that reminded supporters exactly what this side is capable of when confidence, cohesion, and intent align. Here are the 5 major takeaways from a one-sided European encounter. The top line on a brisk southwest London afternoon. It took Harlequins just minutes to set the tone. Open-side flanker Jack Kenningham struck first, powering over to ignite the home crowd before Caden Murley followed soon after, finishing acrobatically in the corner after a superb catch-and pass from Luke Northmore. Momentum never left the hosts. Captain Alex Dombrandt was next to score, bursting through the Stormers' defensive line with ease, and he looked set to double his tally moments later. Instead, after a chaotic sequence on the try line, Chandler Cunningham-South reacted quickest to pounce on a loose ball and extend Quins' advantage. Nick David rounded off a dominant first half, finishing off another sweeping backline move sparked once again by Northmore's incisive running. By the interval, the contest already felt beyond the visitors. Harlequins showed no mercy after the break. Cunningham-South continued to punch holes in the Stormers' line, with David claiming his second try shortly after the restart. The winger completed his hat-trick minutes later, capitalizing on another error from a Stormers' side buckling under relentless pressure. Zach Carr then carried a clever chip over the defensive line to take Quins past the half-century mark. The Stormers did manage a brief response through tries from Imad Khan and Dylan Mart, but any hope of a comeback was quickly extinguished when replacement Jared Evans cross laid on, following excellent work from Murley. Stormers severely understrength. The Stormers arrived in London without several of their biggest names, and it showed. The absence of players such as Sasha Feinberg-Vizelu and Kobus Renak stripped the visitors of both leadership and attacking spark, leaving them vulnerable against a Quins side desperate to make statement. While rotation is part of the modern game, the scale of the Stormers' selection gamble made the outcome feel inevitable before kickoff. Despite strong traveling support in the stands, this never had the feel of a classic underdog story in the making at tea times, particularly when their replacements entered the fray. The Stormers showed flashes of quality. However, those moments were fleeting and isolated. Against a side playing with pace, accuracy, and confidence, short bursts of competitiveness simply were not enough. Back row brilliance leads the way. Alex Dombrandt may currently be out of favor at international level, but with the Six Nations looming, this was a performance that served as a pointed reminder of his quality. With Tom Willis set to move abroad, the England number 8 jersey suddenly looks far more open, and Dombrandt's display could hardly have been timed better. The Harlequins captain was outstanding, but he was far from alone. Chandler Cunningham-South and Jack Kenningham were equally influential, combining physical dominance with tireless work rate. Kenningham, who picked up the Player of the Match award, continues to make a compelling case for senior England honors after impressing in wider squads earlier this season. Cunningham-South, in particular, was a force of nature. He delivered thunderous tackles throughout, consistently winning collisions, while his powerful ball carrying shredded the Stormers' defensive line time and again. With the job well and truly done, 2 members of the back row trio were deservedly given standing ovations as they departed midway through the second half. Ruthless efficiency to the final whistle. Interestingly, the raw statistics suggested a closer contest than the scoreboard implied. The Stormers enjoyed more possession, were competitive in territory, won all of their scrums, and boasted an impressive 94% success rate at the lineout. But the decisive numbers told a very different story. Harlequins were devastating after contact, generating enormous post-contact meters despite making significantly fewer carries than their opponents. With 31 fewer carries, Quins still produced 127 more meters, largely thanks to an extraordinary 18 clean line breaks. Turnovers were another crucial factor. Harlequins were ferocious at the breakdown, winning 12 turnovers, while the Stormers repeatedly failed to protect their ball, coughing up possession a staggering 17 times. It was a stark illustration of the difference between control and chaos, but a message to the faithful for a club that has struggled domestically in recent weeks. This European performance could prove transformational. Coming just days after Harlequins addressed their inconsistent form following the departure of former coach Danny Wilson, the display felt like a release of pent-up frustration. This was Quins rugby at its best. Sharp support lines, instinctive offloads, fearless footwork, and uncompromising defense. While the opposition may have been weakened, the psychological impact of such a comprehensive victory should not be underestimated. Inside the Investec events room after the final whistle, the mood was noticeably lighter than it has been for some time. Supporters lingered, reliving tries, dissecting moments, and already planning future European trips. Optimism has returned to the Stoop. Whether this performance marks a turning point or simply a reminder of untapped potential remains to be seen. But for one afternoon at least, Harlequins looked every inch the fearless, free-flowing side their fans fell in love with.